Hey guys, in today's video, we're checking out a really cool wireless system that is a wireless, a tuner, and a boost pedal all in one. This wireless system has multiple ins and outs for different audio routing, and it also has a very intuitive frequency hopping system to prevent wireless dropouts. We're checking out this guy right here. This is the brand new B-8 by NUX. I've been using it at some of my gigs recently over the last couple of weeks. It's worked really well, and I'm going to go over the system to see if it's something that you can be interested in. Pretty cool design, multiple things in one, not just a wireless. There's a lot of cool features with this wireless, and I definitely think some of you could be interested in it. A couple of my subscribers actually reached out to me and asked me to check out this device, and a few days later, NUX actually reached out to see if I wanted to review it for the channel. So good timing. This is not a paid video or anything like that. They just sent it over to review for the channel, and all the opinions in this video are my own. So in addition to sending me the B-8, they were kind enough to send me 2 of the C5RC wireless systems as well, so I could do a giveaway to 2 of my subscribers. Be sure to stick around so you can find out how you can win one of these wireless for yourself. I'm going to go over the system, go over the details of how it works, all the options that you get, specs, my experience with it, so on and so forth, and see if it's something that you could be interested in. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more music, gear, tutorials, and reviews like this in the future. Now let's go ahead and get started. So here's the main system right here. This is the receiver and the tuner and the booster. And you can see it's about the size of my hand. So nice and small, and it fits on your pedal board. This is the transmitter, and this is what clips on to your guitar. Also nice and portable. It does include a cable for connecting to your guitar. It does come with a power supply, although they did accidentally send me the European one, but they'll have the right ones in your country. You also do get a USB-C cable for charging, some Velcro, and then one of my favorite things right here is this one. They have it cut out exactly right so that it fits on the back here exactly so that you can attach it to your pedal board. Really cool that they thought of that. One of them is Velcro and the other one is magnetic. Super cool that they included that. It's a really nice touch. So go ahead and power it on, and when you turn it on, you're going to see that it says scanning, please turn on the transmitter, because it has not detected the transmitter yet. So on the transmitter, push the power button here on the top, and you'll see the light turn green. Give it a second, and they'll sync up. And this is the main screen that you're going to be on right here. So a couple things right off the bat. You do get a few indicators. You can see if your cable tone is on, if your boost is on, or if you are muted, because you can turn on the cable tone and the mute from the transmitter, and you have a way to turn on the boost from the pedal itself. You do get to see the battery life of the transmitter over here, and you do get to see the wireless signal strength over here. So you can see that it's a very strong signal. If it drops really low, that means you're at the risk of it dropping out. You do also get a few more indicators that I'll show you here in a minute. So you can see, for example, if I push this cable tone switch off, it turns it off on the receiver. So to get to some of the menus, you can either push the select button right here. This button over here is back, and this button also does the same thing. So I'm just going to walk you through the menu really quick so you can see kind of what all this is capable of. So first of all, for display, you have the home display. So you have 2 different settings. You can set it to this type of display, and now your home screen looks like this. I personally prefer the other one, but you have that as an option. You can also adjust the brightness. So if you're playing outside, we all know what that's like, not to be able to see your pedal. So that's really nice. It is very bright. You can change the boot up picture, which is pretty wild. You can put in your own boot up picture, and of course you can change the language as well. Going over, we have transmitter receiver. Now this is cool. I haven't really seen this before. So this does transmit in 2.4 gigahertz, and I'm going to address that here in a little bit. But what you can do is you can set it to low latency mode and have it have less latency, or you can set it to stable, and that's going to have it do interference frequency hopping, but it does have a little bit more latency. The thing is, and I've been using this, I just leave it on stable, and I feel 0 latency with this. The maximum latency is like 8 milliseconds, which no one can hear. So low latency is 2 milliseconds, and then stable is 8 milliseconds. To me, I'd rather have the frequency hopping. And again, I'll address that here in a little bit. But if, for example, I wanted to set it to low latency mode, I would just move this over and then hit select. But I'm going to set this back to stable, which is where I've been using it when I've been trying it out at my gigs. Going over to tuner mode. So in tuner display, you do get a couple of different options of the display. I personally have just settled on this last one over here, but you can choose a different one if you want. And then bypass mode. So when the tuner is on, do you want the signal to come through, or do you want it to be muted? Switch. Now this is really cool. So by default, it's actually on this first one, and I'll show you what that means. So when you push the button once, it goes into tuner mode, and then push it again to get out, but then you hold it and it turns on the boost. I personally want it to be the opposite. So I'm going to go in here and I set it to this one right here, which makes more sense to me. Tap it to turn on a boost, tap it again to turn it off, and then hold it and it gets you into tuner mode. That makes more sense to me, so I switched that. You also can adjust the volume of the output, which is great if you're too hot or too quiet, and you can set the level of the boost. It is set to plus 12 by default. I do think that's a little hot, so I'm going to turn it down to about the midpoint. And there you go. And those are the menu options in the receiver itself. So as far as ins and outs, you actually get quite a few options with this thing, which is really cool. So here on the side, you do get an input if for some reason your wireless isn't working, which can happen. We've seen Metallica lose wireless signal. That can happen. So they have a failsafe here, and you can just plug in a cable directly, which is really cool. But here you can have an output, which goes directly to your amp or something like that. But over here on the other side, you also get another output that also acts as a send and return. So you could still use this as a send and return. They have this diagram on the website for a reason that you might want to do that. I personally just go direct. If you want to find out why, check out my guitar. That is a multi-effect processor built into the guitar. I'll link to that video up above and down below. So for me, it's great because there is a DI out up here on the top. So if you're using it for acoustic or just recording direct or something like that, you have an XLR out here on the top as well. And it does include a ground lift if you are getting buzz, which is awesome. So many options for inputs and outputs. Really clever design on this. I'm going to keep saying that because they've really thought this one out. Very cool system. For the transmitter, go ahead and plug in the cable right here on the side. And I do like that it gives you the screw here in order to keep it from becoming unplugged accidentally. When I first got it, I thought it was really weird that it was on the side because most of them plug in on the top, but I actually love this because the way it attaches to your guitar, it makes way more sense that the cable goes down your strap instead of like out and then like around your strap. I've reviewed so many wireless products. It's the first one that I've seen do that. It's a subtle change, but it's super cool. I honestly think more wireless should adapt this. And then this is also a really cool feature. See these little magnetic connectors up here at the top? See them on the receiver? Well, you can just put them on top of each other, and now it's going to power the device off and charge the device here. So you have a way to store it when you're done or going on break or anything like that. Just a really cool design. And of course, you also do get just a standard USB-C input right here if you do need to charge it independently. You see what I mean? They've really thought of so many different things with this. It's really cool. So I'm going to go ahead and plug in. And when I strum my guitar, you can see the level of the signal. So you can see if it's too hot or too quiet. Going into the tuner right here, I'm going to hold the button to get to tuner mode. And you can see you have a nice big display with a clear indicator. And again, you have 3 different modes. This is the one that I've settled on. Really nice tuner. You do get some adjustments in here that you can make. So push the select button and you can see the chromatic button up here starts blinking. So I can switch that to a couple of different modes. I just like chromatic. I always have. And you also can push the button and change it out of 440 if you're one of those people. And then one thing I almost forgot to mention is you do have a mute switch on the transmitter itself. So instead of holding the power button, just touch it once and it is now muted. And you can see that on the receiver right here. So you have a quick way to mute if you need to like change guitars or something like that. Very nice design. One more thing I almost forgot to mention is when you do plug in hardwired, the wireless no longer works. So you can see when I plug in a cable, it powers off the wireless. Still really nice that it has a failsafe that you can just plug in if for some reason your wireless isn't working, but if you do use the input, it does power off the wireless. Specs really quick. So this does operate in the 2.4 gigahertz frequency, which I'm going to address here in a minute. Frequency range is a full frequency response from 20 hertz up to 20 kilohertz. The latency can be set from 2.5 milliseconds up to 8.7 milliseconds. And again, I've been running it in 8.7. Every time that I've used it, it's worked great. The battery life is 6.5 hours and the operation range is 50 meters or 165 feet. If there's anything else you're interested in, go ahead and pause the screen now. As far as price, as of the time of shooting, this is listed at $320, and you can find purchase links down below in the description or using the links on your screen. I know some people will probably think that's a little bit high priced, and that's honestly where my mind went when I first saw it. Thinking about it more, I actually think it's pretty fair priced because you get a tuner, you get a wireless, you get a boost, you have inputs and output routing, direct out with a ground lift. You get quite a few things with this, so I actually do think it is fairly well priced. I did just want to mention that because I did have the same thought when I first got it, but then I was like, wow, there's a lot of things that this thing can do. Just my 2 cents. Okay, but how does it sound? So if you're new to my channel, I'm a firm believer that doing A-B comparisons is actually quite a waste of time, especially for products that are meant to be used in a live environment. My tone philosophy has always been, does it sound good? If so, I'm going to use it. I am working on a video about that topic, so be sure to subscribe if you're not subscribed already so you can find out why I'm personally against doing A-B comparisons in most situations. But for this tone test, I'm just going to play through a couple of my favorite amp modelers, and here's how it sounds. So to me, it sounds great. And one of my biggest tests on how something sounds, does it sound good, is if I switch from my normal setup, either my high-end wireless or a cable, and I plug this in, do I hear a change in tone? When I plugged this in, I didn't hear any tone loss or any change in my tone. So I definitely think it sounds great. And it has the full frequency response, so no surprise there. And yes, these do work with active pickups. I know I'm going to get asked that in the comment section. I get asked that quite a lot when I review wireless for guitar and bass. As far as my experience with these, so I've been using these over the last couple of weeks, and it's worked incredibly well. The first show that I did with it was in downtown Denver, and one of the reasons why I wanted to try that out at that gig is because in bigger cities, you're going to have a lot more wireless stuff going on. Not even just wireless, just other things that can contribute to the RF environment. So in a busier environment, you're more likely to get dropouts. So I wanted to put this thing to the test. I didn't have a single dropout all night. It worked flawlessly. I also let my singer use it at another gig, and he absolutely loved it, and he wanted to get one for himself. So I let him use it at a couple other gigs as well. And it's been working great. Even in one place that we play that is notorious for having problems with 2.4 gigahertz, I've used other 2.4 gigahertz wireless at this venue, and I always have problems. This one worked out great. It's really cool because it has that frequency hopping technology behind it, which leads into the fact that this is on 2.4 gigahertz. If you've seen my channel before, you know that I'm very hesitant on anything on 2.4 gigahertz. I have a whole video dedicated to going over 2.4 gigahertz if you have not seen it, and you can check it out by clicking up above and down below. I recommend that anyone who uses anything on 2.4 check out that video just so you understand how 2.4 works and the ways to set yourself up for success when using 2.4 gigahertz. Do always just remember always to keep it at least 10 feet away from any sort of Wi-Fi router. But again, check out that video. Now, there is an article that I'm going to link to down below that goes into a lot of detail about the B-8. A lot of it is actually even over my pay grade, to be honest. I didn't quite understand every single thing in this article. But a short summary is that it transmits in a 1 megahertz bandwidth, which is very narrow, so it's able to run longer distances without RF interference. In that article, they have a great analogy where they say, think of 4 megahertz like a truck, think of 2 megahertz like a car, and think of 1 megahertz like a motorcycle. While these vehicles are on the road, which is a metaphor for the RF environment, the motorcycle is able to avoid others easily. Really great analogy, actually. And also they go over how in low latency mode at 2.5 milliseconds, it sends the transmission signal 2 times, and at the longer latency of 8.7 milliseconds, it sends the signal 12 times. So long story short, this is one of the most reliable 2.4 gigahertz systems out on the market. They also address how the receiver has 2 antennas for more reliability. Again, check out the article. It is quite cool. And I will just say, in my opinion, I would set it to that stable one, the highest latency, because again, I personally didn't feel any latency going direct into our rig. We use in-ear monitors. I heard no latency with it at all. If for some reason you are getting latency, it's likely that there's compounded latency from multiple devices giving you latency. So if you run into that situation, then start to dial it back. That's my 2 cents on how I would use that stable versus low latency. I would honestly just leave it on stable because to me that's more important. And again, I felt 0 latency while I used this live. Okay, any cons or improvements? So in all of my gear reviews, I always try to do some negatives or cons or room for improvement. I honestly really can't think of one for this one. This is a really well-designed product. I really love what they're doing with this. I think some people will be turned off to the price, but I already addressed that earlier in the video. I think it is very fair price for all the things that you get with it. There's a part of me that does wish it was like on a dual band thing. If it was on like 2.4 and 5.8, that would be nice. But again, read that article and that definitely helped me relax about it. So that's not really a problem to me. I really don't have any cons that I can think of. So good job to NUX with this design. It's a really, really cool system. The one thing I would say is make sure that you have a backup for this cable right here. So this is just a TS cable with 3.5 millimeter on one side and 1/4 inch on the other side. You don't even need the screw. You know, the screw is nice, but obviously just having another one as a backup is important. I'll link to one down below just so you can have a backup cable. And the reason why I say that is because at the very first gig with this, right after sound check, everything sounded great. It was going smooth. And then the guitar fell off of the stand. And of course, it landed right here and bent the cable. That is not a design flaw for the cable. That is just what would happen if your cable hits exactly like this, which of course it happens on the very first gig with a new system. Luckily, I had a backup cable and it worked great. So I do recommend getting a backup cable because this is kind of a specific cable that you need. I really think this is a great system, and I will have purchase links to purchase down below and on your screen now. so you can check this out for yourself if you think this is something that will work for your setup. If you do use those links down in the description or the ones on your screen now, it is a free way to support the channel at no extra cost to you, so I would appreciate it. Okay, but like I said earlier, is that 2 of you are going to win one of these wireless for yourself. It's not the B-8, but it's a different one that NUX makes. This is a really cool one. This is the C5RC, and I have reviewed it on my channel. It has a really cool carrying case that charges the wireless, kind of like AirPods, and you can check out that video by clicking up above or down below. In order to enter the giveaway, 2 things. 1, you have to be a subscriber, so if you're not already subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. And then 2, you have to leave a comment below under this video. You can say whatever you want in the comment section, but you have to use the magic phrase. And the magic phrase for this video is a little bit longer one. The magic phrase is, in the show Lost, they were not dead the whole time. Lost is my favorite show, along with Twin Peaks. The number of times that I've had to explain to people who misunderstood the ending, no, they were not dead the whole time. I'm very passionate about that, and I'll even link to a video explaining that down below in the description. I don't know, I gotta keep it a little bit interesting, right? So the magic phrase is, in the show Lost, they were not dead the whole time. You have to capitalize not too. Yes, that's seriously what I'm going with as the magic phrase for this video. I will do the giveaway announcement on this date right here, and I will announce the winners, and I will be sure to notify them. Please make sure you do not respond to scammers. Just remember, under no situation will I ever ask you for money, period. Not for shipping, nothing like that. Scammers like to show up sometimes when I do giveaways. Even if I get hacked or something like that, just remember, I will never ask you for money, period. So I hope this helped you guys out. Thank you guys again for watching. Many thanks to NUX for sending this system over. It's a really cool system. If you found this video helpful, do me a favor and hit the thumbs up button. It is a free way to support the channel, and I would appreciate it. Feed the YouTube algorithm gods and all that good stuff. So 2 other videos of mine I definitely recommend that you check out is, 1, I did just recently release a comprehensive guide to purchasing wireless music gear for microphones, guitar, bass, instruments, and for in-ear monitors. And this system, I would say, falls in between the affordable and the entry-level mid-tier one. If you want to find out what that means, check out the video. And also I have a video on 5 common mistakes when using wireless music gear. I've actually made all of these mistakes except for one of them when I first started using wireless. So hopefully it'll prevent you from making some of the same mistakes that I did. You can check out both of those videos by clicking the links on your screen now. Thank you guys again for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Scott Ewell Music. Many thanks again to NUX for sending this over to check out. I will have links down to some of their other products that I've reviewed down in the description as well. Thank you guys again for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.